how close are you to getting a deal over the line for Bilal Al-Khanous? And what would he add to your attacking options?
Well, it's definitely the process is definitely in motion. There's no point in sort of denying that, but it's not completed, so don't really want to go too early on it. If it does get through, and we hope it does, then we'll give you all the information that you need then. But like I said, it's in motion, and let's let it complete first.
You've talked a lot about adding to your attacking options. Is he? I know you don't want to talk too much about him, but is he the kind of player that would do that? He's quite young. Well, do you see him sort of coming straight into your side?
Well, you definitely want sort of young players in your team and in your squad, as well as experienced ones. It's always nice to have a good blend for the longer term of the club as well, and being able to compete sort of week in, week out. I just like a similar message from me really is we're very much working with the boys that did so well last year, and only focused on what we have and what we don't have. But it's a normal thing as well to add to a squad in a transfer window, and particularly you're sort of in between seasons and stepping up a league as well. So, but that's no new message from me. But as I've said, since the season started, you quickly put even more attention on preparing for games and reviewing and recovering from games, and you're in that sort of game cycle, and that's really where my attention has been. And like I said, I'm really focused on the people that are here than the ones who are not, and that's how we'll remain, especially after tomorrow.
That being said, outside of the club, there's been a lot of talk about perhaps the need to sign another number 9. Has that been a key target for you? And could we see another striker coming? I
just think that you want to. Every manager will always want to strengthen any position if it's possible, and we're no different. Whether that's a position you mentioned or anything else, we are not going to sign players that we don't think are going to have the contribution that we want, and whether that's starting games and or in other ways. So for sure, that the players that we bring in or brought in, we feel they can make the team and the squad better and can strengthen on from the success of last year. And I guess we're still in that process of trying to do that, albeit it's getting right to the end now.
If you don't, we saw Jordan Ayew starting up front midweek. Is his versatility something that's quite appealing to you? The fact, could you use him?
Well, he can play in a number of positions at the top end of the pitch, and that was definitely one of the added attraction to the level of player of bringing him here, and has played well in different positions as well, whether it be at national team level or at Premier League level. So it's definitely something that you do want players in your team that can be dual rollers, if you like, play one position one game and maybe adapt it the week after. And Jordan definitely falls into that category at the top end of the pitch. So was pleased to see him the other night and score as well. Always good to get your first game underway at your new club, and hopefully it's the start of many appearances for us.
And how's your team looking for Saturday?
No changes to personnel. You saw Cody sort of return the other night, a little bit unrestricted minutes, so we give him as much as we could, but that was important for him, and it was a nice sort of way to return. And the bonus from the other night, as I said, post-match, beyond the result and the performance, was some guys got some well-earned and needed minutes. So everyone's in contention, yeah.
A draw and a defeat so far in your first 2 Premier League games. How close do you think your side is? What more do they need to do to get those 3 points on the board?
Well, we believe that listen, you've got to make it happen in games for sure, but definitely when we've reflected on both games, I know it's a little bit of coulda, woulda, shoulda, but if that was the case, we could have had a better result in both of the games that we played. But there's also lessons to be learned from what it takes to do that at this league. So we'll go into every game believing that we can and will win, but we also are under no illusions of sort of how fine the margins are and what you really need to do to get over the line. And I think the first two games have given us enough sort of moments of belief that we can go and sort of play well and win games at this level. But also, it's also reminded us that when you don't get it quite right, that you can be, you can be under the cosh in games and can, things can be going against you. So that's what we're doing. We look at the games closely, but we're really positive in the camp. We're really sort of enthused about what we can do this season. It's a positive culture, and that has to be the approach going into every game. Because in the end, you have got to take it game by game, but you've got to go in there with a real positive mindset of what can be achieved, and not the fear of the opposite.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsty. Thank you.
Thanks,
Ivan,
hi, Steve.
how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. The Carabao Cup, you just touched on it there. By comparison to the Premier League, it may not be the top of everybody's priorities, but how valuable was that performance the other night in terms of, some of the things you just touched upon?
Well, definitely. Listen, respectfully to Tranmere, the expectations was all on us to not just to get the result, but obviously, to get the performance as well. And then to make that happen, I think it starts and ends with the right attitude. And I think these sort of cup games can be a real good sign of where your culture is and where your mindset is. Because if it isn't on it in any professional game, then we've seen it a million times. You can get found out. So that was first and foremost the most pleasing part. And then the game played out the way it did because of that, and the quality took over. Listen, if you're in a cup competition, you will want to get through to the next round. And you want to get as far as you can. And I've been part of a couple of sort of mini cup runs now that have really benefited league form and sort of momentum and confidence and good feelings. So that was the objective as well the other night. And maybe some relationships on the pitch. We're only game 3 into the competitive season. There's there's new players in the group. There's even players that have been Leicester players for a few years now, but out on loan last year and they're back in the squad. So it's very much about building a fluidity and a connection and throughout the team and making sure that sort of goes to as many players as possible within the group that we feel that we'll use. And, cup games can be beneficial for that sort of aspect.
You talked a little bit about the ruthless nature of the Premier League. You know all too well about that. Do you need to see more of that from your team going back into the Premier League, and how do you develop that ruthlessness? Well,
it definitely needs to exist. You don't have any results given to you in this league. And we're fully aware of that. And if it was a player sitting here or another member of staff, they'd say exactly the same. You really have got to earn whatever you get. And part of that is being ruthless. And so whether we need to see more of it, we could have been 100% ruthless in the last 2 games, but it's still got to be the same in the game after. So whatever's happened in the game so far, is irrelevant in making sure that it exists in the next game, and that's just where we're at. But to answer your question, do we want and need to be ruthless in games to get what we want out of fixtures this year? Of course.
And how do you impose yourselves and maybe be more ruthless against a team like Aston Villa?
Yeah, well, you have to believe. You have to have belief in your work, and you have to have belief in each other and belief in the plan, and very much stick to it. But of course, we're playing against a Champions League team, great success, and been on the rise now for a couple of years. And you have to be aware of that and respect it. But I think the Spurs game is a good reference point of what can happen if you do back your way and you do back, and if you don't as well, from the difference in the 2 halves. So that's something that we're mindful of. Obviously, different type of game, different formation, different players, coach, etc. But we've got to ensure that we really take the game to Villa and believe in our concepts and the effect that they can have in the game. And that's only what we've been doing in the preparation, and we'll continue in the next day or so.
Thank you.
You too, Ivan.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Go to Jason from TalkSport.
Hey, Jace. Oh,
That's on now.
there you go, mate.
How you doing, Steve? You okay?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Has the window gone as you thought it might for Leicester? Has it also panned out how you expected it to go? Of course, there will be some disappointments in there, but you've got some players over the line. And also, do you think by Saturday morning you'll have the squad that's better than what was at the club last season?
Oh, it's a long question, that. There's a lot of the answers in the question as well. So I think the first bit was, did it go as planned? I'm not sure a window ever goes as planned, because you never know what's... I don't know, the next day might go. It might go completely different to what we think could be. So I think you always go into a transfer window with the best laid plans, and from my experience of it, some of it you manage to achieve, and others you don't. And I think that's probably the case as it stands now, but will be the case in the future as well. I think what is important is once that window closes, my mindset and is already absolutely on having full belief in what we have, because that is the most important thing, and it won't be any focus on what we don't have, and that's just where I'm at with it, really. I don't think I've ever finished a transfer window and thought would have been even better if we'd had this, and this. But I think every manager will give you that answer. What I do know is I really like what I'm seeing day to day from the guys. I know that the Tranmere game went as it should have gone, but I still like the way that we went about it, and I think that was a good sign of where the motivation and the focus is with the guys. And we've got to take that sort of positivity and mindset now with our ways into Premier League games, and really believe that whether we pick up injuries or suspensions, whatever players we pick to start and finish games are more than capable of achieving in games, and more importantly achieving the objectives that we've set down.
You mentioned a moment ago that there might be some players leaving. Do you expect that to be permanent transfers, loan players?
Could be both. Yeah, could be both. Obviously, we have some really good young players as well that we have to make some good decisions on them about whether they take up some good loan options. Playing time is the most important thing for youth development. As hard as it sometimes is to sort of let them out of your grasp a little bit, games can develop players more than anything else. And I never want to be one to hoard young players just to help training or just to make up the numbers. I don't think that's right. And I've even done sort of let lads go out in the past to detriment maybe of myself a little bit or the squad in terms of numbers, but that's just, I guess, the developer in me. So yeah, some younger players, and who knows, maybe something might come up elsewhere as well. We'll see.
Has anybody expressed any kind of interest in leaving? Has anybody said they were unhappy? Anything like that they want to move on before the end of the window? No,
not at all. It's a very, very positive culture, and obviously a bit of frustration after the Premier League games, both of them really, in a little mixed emotions of should have got more out of the games, but that's just adding to the motivation of making sure we do that in the next game, hopefully starting on Saturday.
Just finally from me, Tom Cannon might be related to one of the previous questions. So it's not involved on Tuesday. Is he somebody you'd expect to go out maybe permanently or on loan before the window?
He's definitely a good young player, and is sort of attracting a lot of attention. So it is possible. If he does, then obviously it'll be the decision that the club feels is right. If he doesn't, then more than happy and enjoying working with him if he continues here.
What could he offer a side like Leicester at this stage of his career, and also in the Premier League if he was to stay?
Well, what everybody would want to offer from a young striker is, first of all, training and developing hard enough and shown enough to earn opportunities to be on the pitch. That goes with any player of Tom's sort of age and stage. And then once given opportunities, trying to take them and do the best they can do in their position. In Tom's case, it would be being a threat on the opponent's goal. So yeah, a normal sort of process really of a young player trying to forge a bit of a career in the game at whatever level they find themselves at.
Thanks, good luck on Saturday.
You too, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. We'll go to Radio Leicester's own.
All right, Owen.
Hi, Steve. Just on Bilal El Khanous, I know you've already talked about him a little bit already. Are you hoping to get that deal over the line and completed before the deadline for this weekend's game, or is this something that might take a little bit while?
Don't know, to be honest. I'm not swerving that, by the way. I just haven't got the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll catch up after.
Yeah. Sorry.
In terms of outgoings as well, just to confirm, is it just younger players that you are hoping to get loans for in terms of their development, or is there any expectation that there may be, quote, first teamers that may leave the club?
Well, there's always that possibility. I mean, like I said to you, the current squad of first team, as you put them, which is fair way of describing it. If a player come to me and really wants to show it, or even to John, and shows a desire to leave, then that's something that we will take into account. That's not the case. We haven't had one player come to the club and say they absolutely want to leave. So we're not in that situation. And are we in a situation where there's real serious interest for first teamers, as we call them, that there's a chance for them to move where the club have to make a decision? I don't think there's that as well. So, but I might walk out of there and things might have changed, because that's what tends to happen in the last day or so of the window. But that's just where we're at the moment, Owen, with it.
Connor Cody back on the bench, as you've already mentioned as well. How important is it to have a player like him back in around the selection process and to be available for you? Yeah,
well, of course, unfortunately for him, he picked up an injury at the wrong time, which was, I think, similar to last season as well. But obviously, last season was more of a serious injury than the one he's just recovered from. Yeah, we just want every player fit and healthy, and fighting for position. I don't think there's anything wrong with, and we want, a training group that are real competing against each other, but with each other, to try and stake a claim in the team. And, in a healthy way, we want players playing, knowing that they've got people waiting to come in, should they not play as well as required. And then at the same time, the players who might not be starting games, we want them to be ready to step in, whether it's off the bench or whether it's to start, for whatever reason that opportunity might come up. So, the last thing we want there is a culture where players are just assuming they're going to play or expecting to play and not feel like they're having to earn the right to play. Unfortunately, that's not we have the opposite. We have players who are not taking anything for granted, realizing that they're not the only person in their position, and they have to make sure that, given a team selection, they've done everything to be in the team.
It was a good win on Tuesday night, and I wonder, from your perspective, how much momentum you can take from that game into this weekend with the number of changes and with respect to the level of opposition as well.
Yeah, well, we should always look at the positives in the game, and I also think, like, we were disappointed with the result of Fulham, and there was definitely some things that we should have done better in the game, but there was definitely some things that were good signs as well. So it's about both of them things, plus the training week, plus the conversations with the players, plus the challenges that we're laying down, and all the reflection now of being back in this competition, about, to answer the question about being ruthless before, about what it takes to get the right result in a game, because this, in this league, you have to get everything right in a game, and that's just what we're looking to do. So did Tuesday night help? I hope so, but we've got to make it that case on Saturday.
How important will it be to end this first part of the season, do you think, with a win and back-to-back home wins as well before the international break? Yeah,
it'd be brilliant, of course, and that's the objective, and we would love that, for the supporters as much as anybody else to go into the international break with a positive result and win would be would be great, you know, and we're going to do everything to try and earn that to deliver it to everybody. So. And then the international break, of course, you know, they can be, you know, 3 games international break, 3 games or Premier League games, international break, you know, in the first sort of few months of the season can be a little bit stop-start. So it's really important that you stay on task with your mindset and your focus and be ready for when these games come.
Casey McAteer today has been announced he's been called up for Ireland for his first spell with an international side. How pleased are you to see him being recognised on that kind of stage?
Yeah, no, I've just been told that as we were coming here because we literally just walked off the training pitch and walked in. So yeah, congratulations to him. I haven't seen him yet to say that personally, but I will do now when I go back into the building. Good recognition for him, for the club, you know, the journey, the academy that, you know, that he's been on, and should hopefully encourage him even more now to work hard, because he's a good lad. He's got a really good attitude. He's had a good pre-season. He's still very much finding his way, which is normal for where he's at in his career. He signed a new contract recently, so he can sort of put that out of his mind, and you know, we want to push him to, you know, to contribute as much as he can. He's come on in the first 2 league games. He started the game the other night, and you know, we really want to push him like everybody else to play well for us. And if he does, then other things like international honours come their way as well.
And finally, I just wondered if I could ask about Mark Albrighton. I know a player that you've not necessarily worked with whilst you've been here at Leicester City, but announced his retirement today, and a club legend. I wonder what you make of him when you look back at the time that you had here at Leicester. Yeah,
well, congratulations to him, and for the career that he had, and good luck to him for the next phase of his career life. You know, whatever he chooses to do next. I did actually meet him in person after the Tottenham game in the car park with Andy King, and we ended up chatting for about probably the best part of half an hour. And I'm fully aware of the importance he's had, obviously on the pitch, and off the pitch as well. You tend to learn that a bit more when you're around the guys that he would have played with over the last few years, and obviously a lot of time with Jamie and Hamza and JJ, but Wardy, trying to not miss anyone out here, but yeah, you know, there's been some really successful times there, hasn't it, over the recent history, and I guess although I've not been there, I think you need guys like Mark Albrighton to be in amongst it, and you can tell that's the way he's thought of by, you know, ex-teammates and staff members, and wish him well. But it was a good conversation I had with him, because I learned a lot, not just about him, but about the club, and some of the things he told me can be invaluable for a new manager. So I'd like to make the time again to get even more information out of him. And like I said, Matty James is there training away with us, and so is Andy King, I met that night as well. And these guys are really important because they have legacy, an important legacy at the club, and the more information I can get off them, you know, the better. But on Mark, it's his day, I guess, with the announcement, and as I said at the start, congratulations and good luck.
Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you.
On the weekend.
You too, mate.
Thanks, and we'll finish this section with a question from Colin from East Midlands today.
Hi, Cole. How are you?
Is that on now? I just wondered, just one from me, in between the training field and the transfer market, what kind of team are you trying to build? What style, if you like, will a Steve Cooper Leicester City have?
Yeah, I think I've been asked that question quite probably since day one of coming here, really, on the transfer window, and it's a balance really of what I want and what I believe in. It's a coach's prerogative and a responsibility to imprint a way of playing and a philosophy. But to do that, I think you also need to be mindful of the team and the squad that you inherit, and maybe what's gone on in the season or the time before as well, depending on when you take over a team. And I think that's the balance. So that's the aim. But very much want to see a team that's, you know, fans can be connected to, can be excited about watching, and can feel that it represents what they believe, you know, their team should exist within. So that's what we're doing. Like I said, I think in in some of the performances, we've definitely seen some good signs of that. Bits definitely we want to get better, and we want to, you know, get rid of that stuff and increase the good stuff, and that will give us the way of winning games and playing in an exciting way. And that process will always continue. You never feel like you really get there, but that's what we're aiming to do. And like I said, a lot of it starts with the right attitude and the right engagement, and delivering on match days.